scheduled meeting of the Vacaville Unified School District Board of Trustees. Nobody here, so we don't have to worry about the exits or AED. We'll be all right. It's just us. So we'll start with a moment of reflection, please. All right, next to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll lead it if you don't mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Filling in for our superintendent is Ed Santapadre. So Ed, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are two.
Okay.
If you could remove 16A, the update on special education, and 16B, Community First Initiative.
Okay, 16A and 16B removed. Do have a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Motion by Silva, second by Malberg, and a roll call vote.
Yes, okay, I'll take you through the roll call vote. Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitses?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. All right. Report on closed session actions. We discussed pending litigations, some real estate issues, and also some HR issues, but nothing specific to share at this time. Seeing that there's no one out there, no comments from the floor, we'll go to item 12 and the superintendent's comments and correspondence. Mr. Santapadre.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be filling in for Superintendent Shamia, and really she wanted me to just give an update on what's been going on in the district in this time. It's really been difficult on everybody, and we're really so super proud of our staff and our students and our community. Everybody has really come together nicely. I'll start out with some great news. We are feeding more and more students every day. Our child nutrition department with Juan is just doing an amazing job. Listen to these numbers. On Monday, we served 631 meals. Tuesday was 760. Wednesday was 1,235. And today was 1,642 meals. More people are getting the word. They're coming out. They're getting some food. They're very appreciative. We were out the other day at some of the sites. It was great. Starting next Monday, they're going to change up how they do it. They've been doing a breakfast for an hour and a lunch later for an hour, and they're going to switch that up and do just a lunch from 11 to 12:30 and give the next day's breakfast out with that. So starting next week, there'll be one service time. It'll be a little longer, and they'll be able to give out both the lunch and the next day's breakfast. Our teaching staff has really rallied and put together, again, very quickly some online learning activities and some physical packets for students who don't have that. We're moving forward into a little longer period, certainly through spring break. We're going to do a survey of families to see what they need to be able to do online learning, if they need a device or if they need some connectivity, and then we're going to try and meet as many of those needs as we can. We have 1,200 Chromebooks we've just replaced and got back here, so we have those, and the tech team, who's just fantastic, have them ready to go out to families who need them with the information on how to get some free Comcast if that works as well. So that's been great. Again, working with both of our bargaining units have been very supportive and helpful in putting together this pretty uncharted territory. Everybody's new at this. We've never done it before, so we're getting things in place, and we're pretty comfortable that we're going to be doing some really good learning here over the next couple weeks or months or whatever it needs to be. Yesterday we had a 2-hour Zoom meeting with all of our administrators, 45 of us on, and just went through a series of questions they had, answering what we could, and what we don't know yet, we don't know yet. So I know Superintendent Shamia just wanted to share that she was so appreciative of everybody, how they've stepped up and the work they've done in this time. That is the end of our report.
Okay, board member comments and correspondence, and thank you very much for that. That was your first one, right?
That was my first one.
It's ice cream. Yeah. We'll talk about that later, right? Hold on here. Is that you, Sean? Okay, let me figure out where we go. Mr. Wyndham.
So I'll be brief. I just want to give a shout out to first of all of our staff. I mean, this is, as Mr. Santapadre said, this is some really difficult times, and this is really, there's no playbook for this. I don't think this is something we anticipated, and our staff, I think, has really stepped up. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are coming in and filling needs, even in the midst of all the fear, and I mean, there's just so much coming out on this situation, minute by minute, it seems like. So I really want to recognize staff, and I want them to know how much that I appreciate that, and how important it is for me personally, and I'm sure probably for all of us, that they take care of themselves just as they take care of our students, and just for parents and our students. You know, I just want to thank them as well, because this, again, it's tough. These are things that are unanticipated childcare and unanticipated circumstances with education. So I just want to recognize that the impact this has had on staff, on parents, on students, and I just want them to know that, you know, all of us are doing the best we can, but please bear with us, because this is not something that there's really a playbook for. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Silva.
Yeah, no, just, you know, basically echo Sean's comments that, you know, a lot of our staff have families too, and I know a lot of parents out there are concerned, you know, about education and keeping their kids busy. I think on Saturday, a lot of parents are complaining, it's just the first day. But I know everybody's working hard on trying to make sure that everybody gets that quality education that every student deserves. Some other relative announcements, maybe more reflective for the board. So I sent out a letter on behalf of Solano County School Board Association, and in there, the board as a whole, we discussed different items. Number one, the topic to talk about how policies influence student achievement. That's going to be postponed and moved to the fall rather than April 20th, so there's no general meeting in April. Number two, another key point in there was that a lot of discussions went around, like what's our role in all of this as school board members. And because there's just there's the state of emergency, a lot of information is constantly coming in. As soon as staff are adjusting to it, they get new information, and it's coming from different sources. That one of the recommendations from the board was that we designate one individual on the board to basically help kind of be that liaison between our board correspondents and the superintendent, just to reduce the amount of flux of information going to the superintendent. It's just a recommendation. So I just wanted to share that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stacy.
So I too want to echo how incredible it has been to watch people step up. And I want to just let everybody know that in addition to all of our staff still working and being paid in some form or capacity, that there's an open door policy. If you feel like you want to talk to your teacher, get more support, or maybe have someone explain to you how to use an online resource that has been shared with you, feel free to reach out to your teacher, reach out to the principal, and because we know that we're disseminating a lot of information, and there's a lot of new innovative opportunities that are coming up, and we're still kind of getting our legs as we've gone to preparing for 2 weeks to potentially preparing, now it's a month, and not knowing what the future holds. So don't be shy. Reach out if you need us. There's a lot of new good things coming. And at the same token, please don't listen to everything you see on Facebook and social media. There's been I've gotten lots of calls or emails asking about what facts or what's fiction and what's urban legend. So just ask, just call and ask. We'll make sure that you get the accurate information. I know that our student safety, our staff safety, and health is our priority, and that our hearts go out to the parents who are probably going to be very thankful for our teachers after the next month, because we realize maybe how hard and how grateful we are for their nurture of our kids. And then also for our seniors, a couple of us have seniors. There's people are paying attention and going to try to figure out how to get a handle on what the future holds, and know that our hearts are with you, and that it's not true. We don't know if school's going to come back. So spread that rumor that we don't know. So we hope that things get fixed and we get to have graduation and get our kids back. So stay well.
You betcha. Go ahead, Michael, and then sure you go next. I got you.
Hi, this is Michael Kitsis from the closet, I guess. Here. I guess what I want to say is I just really want to implore everyone to think about health right now and to let some of the little things go. Everybody, please, Tracy was talking about rumors, go to the Solano County Public Health website. There are lots of updates. Okay, it's really important that we all take it seriously and not figure, for a while everybody was saying it's an old person's disease, and now so far 38% of the people that are in hospitals because of COVID-19 are from 20 to 54. Almost half of people that are in intensive care are under 60. So this is really important that we all have to focus on it. I just saw something on one of the websites that's hopefully somewhat reasonable, said Governor Newsom announced Thursday a statewide order mandating that Californians stay at home except for essential work. So the same as Solano County, the rest of the Bay Area. So we're looking at a very, very big shutdown except for essential activities. Take it seriously. Could be the most important thing that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mulberg.
I think you have to turn my mic on. Oh no, it's on. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Super, you're on it. Just super quick. Living at home with a senior, the impact is significant. These kiddos work so long to get to senior year and to have it be different than how they pictured or how it's traditionally been. And so just planting the seed that it is scary times for all of us. It is uncharted territory for all of us, but we're making history. And our children's grandchildren will read about what we do now and the choices we make now and the attitude we choose to have in our home now. And so as a parent, if any parents are watching, want to plant the seed that your kids are looking to you to know to be scared or to have hope. So just make sure that you are given the right messages at home because we are literally making history as we go. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just real quick, thanks to all the staff. I know you used Zoom to get together, and we had a Zoom conference earlier today, and just using technology to be able to make things happen that you guys are still working forward and developing this as it comes along. Big shout out to the cafeteria staff. I visited 3 out of 4. Tomorrow's my 4th. They are just into it, making food, being happy, coming out with plans how to do it better. So really cool just to see that. And I was on the other side of the window, so I was okay. All right. Perfect. With that, we've asked our student board representatives to stay at home. So they're no longer here, as well as the bargaining unit representatives. We'll go to staff and presentations. Straight to 16C, Mr. Banowitz, 100 McClellan Street Improvement Project update. And good evening.
Good evening, board.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. What I need, I'm going to go through. Can you put the other one up first, please, Lori? The plan first, please. I'm going to go over the plan for the 100 McClellan Street project. That's the current Country High site, but we want to go through this so then at the next board meeting we can seek approval to move forward and get out from this schematic stage into the design stage. And we've talked about this at the special board meeting, but this is the plan that we want to move forward with. This is just the stepping, so this is the beginning of it. There'll be a lot of adjustments but this is basically the plan. The top left, where the old district office is, we are looking at, we're actually scheduled to demolish that building in June. We were going to wait until after Fiesta Day so we didn't interfere with anything. That may change now, but we're still on that path to demolish that building. And I'll go over timelines real quickly after this. But in that top area, you see the big loop, the traffic loop that goes around there. It doesn't work, but we're keeping a lot of things in mind. One is we don't want traffic backed up on a Monte Vista. It's a big deal. We also don't want parents dropping off their students in the Lucky's parking lot and have them walk across Monte Vista because they're not going to go down to the crosswalk, right? So those are big things to us. So the way where we were doing this, we have that big loop in the parking lot. We're increasing parking we're going to increase it by about 10 or 11 spots more than they have now. But also we're going to create that really big drop-off pickup loop. And that'll be able to house a lot of those vehicles so not have them back up onto Monte Vista. The other thing is currently there's one way in and one way out basically for Country High. We're going to open up some areas in the bottom left. Where you see there's a multi-purpose room there, and that area is where we're looking at putting a multi-purpose room. We're going to open up areas for for people to come and go before and after school in that area to promote pick up and drop off on that side of the campus. Just to the left of that tree line on the far left of the drawing is where Main Street, and we have a lot of parking right there. So it's a short walk to get the students there from the drop-off point. Also, we have the old steps that are there from the original school building, so we're going to incorporate that into that and not lose those steps. We have to put in an ADA entrance because, to make those ADA, you basically have to bust them out and redo them anyways. But we're working on that. You see where the multi-purpose room, where we're putting that, and we have been working with the city. I've had meetings with the cities already about this whole plan. And also they sent me the drawings of the buildings that are going to be built across the street as part of their downtown development plan. So I have sent that to our design team so they can incorporate some of those things into our building. So it's like we're doing something together here, and we're making the area it's going to be similar. But it's going to be more about function than it is about looks. But we're going to see what we can do with that. The other piece is on the right-hand side. And the top, you see those three, there's a rectangle building and two squares. The rectangle building up there is the 4 modular classrooms that we'll be bringing in, and the 2 squares are the 2 portables we'll be bringing in for robotics. And we'll go over the timelines for all that. But you can see what we're doing is we're keeping everything close. We're trying to keep everything close together. There is an easement that goes across that actually separates the 2 parcels that the district owns. That was supposed to be Lattice Street that was never built, and that easement's still there. So I'm working with the city on working with them on, because those new buildings would actually sit on top of that easement. There's a storm drain that goes through there. We've already got the survey done. We know exactly where it is, and we're going to avoid that. But we're working with the city on that. So this is the schematic plan that we're hoping to move forward with. So you can take a look at that, and then we can move into design phase for this project. Okay.
Fantastic. Any questions? I have one for you. Do parking spaces stay the same or increase?
Increase.
Fantastic.
Right now there's about 122, and we're looking to get to 135.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. And then you might as well stay up. Your 16D as well.
Yeah, I still have one more thing. I have real quick.
I'm sorry.
Was asked to show timelines of what
Very
we're
good.
doing. So I have a really quick presentation on. No, it's not on that. Go to the that right there. Yeah. There we go. Okay. It's not working. No. Maybe I turned it on. And okay. Says it's on. I got the green light and everything. There it goes. Okay. So what we're looking at for right now is the summer of 2020, and this is the big move. This is we're going to be moving, we've got to move Country High, their contents out of that site. We're going to move that to the gym building, the Buckingham gym building right now, and we're going to use that for storage. We're going to do a heavy clean. We're going to bring in a crew to do a heavy clean for that site over over 9 days to do a heavy clean for that site. And then you'll see in June 22nd, we're going to move Buckingham out of those 2 buildings into that site. From there, we start now focused on Bella Vista Road. After we move Buckingham out, we'll start the tenant improvements. We'll move July 29th. So for June 25th, July 29th, when we've got the tenant improvements done, we're not going to get everything done before the start of school. There are some things we're looking at focusing. This is our list. This has to be done. This has to be done. This has to be done. The kiln, we'll get to it, but it probably won't be after. Gas added to a room for science, that's not going to be done in August, but we'll get to those things. We'll continue. That is the plan. To move Kimmy into the 194 building on July 29th. Our lease, we've made arrangements with the lease there. They're letting us go month to month because that actually did expire. So we're going just month to month till July 31st. and then we'll vacate that building. We'll be out of the lease. We won't have any more payments there. August 1st, we'll be moving Country High to the 188 building out of storage and out of that storage room and into that building. Okay. Can you move it? Oh, there we go. Okay, I got to point it right there. So for the McClellan Street project, real quick, April 9th is when we'll be asking for the master plan design. We'll move into schematic design, which is the first part of the design phase. June to September will be design development. October to November is construction documents. And throughout this whole process, we'll be reviewing it. So our team reviews it. Our estimators review it and everything. This is no different than any other project that we've been doing. Then we have DSA review, and then into construction. And we're looking at completely having everything done. It'll be in steps, but it's all going to be one big project, and we'll be completed in the summer of 2022. That's the MP room. That's everything. There we go. Just for that McClellan Street, we're looking at May 21, August, of doing the parking lot, drop-off lanes, and site work. That's all the parking lot stuff. Robotics portable installation, so that'll be done in October. So that'll be ready for them in the build season that starts, I believe, January 22. So we have a little wiggle room there. Modular classroom installations from May to December. MP room construction May to June, so they'll have that ready for the 2022-23 school year. And then the existing building modernization will be going throughout May and August of 22, and that's because we're going to be moving them around and using the modular black classrooms as interim housing, and we'll just kind of go through one wing at a time, and then the portables will be done over the summer. Any questions?
Mr. Wyndham.
Hey, Dan, I'm sure you probably thought of this, but so do we have any contingencies about, if it changes the timeline with everything that's going on right now, or do we think that will impact the timeline?
It depends on what happens. At this point, we're closed until April 20th. Nothing changes. If we are extended and say, for example, we end up not going back to school until the fall, then yes, I'm working on a plan right now that's going to change, and that would get us moving them sooner. I can't speed up the documents. I can't speed up the design. I can't speed, the architects, they're all working on this now, but our design teams are still working, but they're working remotely. So things can still happen. That won't speed up, but at least I can get the move done and not have to be rushed. I can get the tenant improvements done sooner and have a little more than 5 weeks to get those done, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're making plans for that if that happens.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you. Then the 16D facilities update.
So our construction projects right now are still going on. Public works projects are exempt from shelter in place, so they can continue to work. I did get clarification from Bernadette Curry about that this morning to make sure, because there was a lot of questions from our contractors. They want to keep working. The actual workers, if they're not there working, they're not getting paid. These guys want to work if they can. So we are moving forward. We're still working. Sierra Vista, they are finishing up with what they have to do. We have one guy in the field that's working, our construction manager. Everybody else is working remotely. So we have somebody, our representation is still there, but they're following the 6-foot rules, but the contractors are doing their job, and we're allowing them to have their on-site superintendents regulate those guys. So Sierra Vista is ongoing. Zanino Stadium, they actually did the second layer of that second lift of asphalt around the track today. We're supposed to do it on Tuesday, but that last rain kind of slowed us up a little bit. But they're continuing to move, and that's what we want. We're taking advantage. We have a break in weather now, as far as the 10-day forecast goes, so we're good there. And they're gonna the fabric, the pad that goes underneath the turf is gonna start getting installed on Monday. And then that's going to be the next thing, and so we're just keeping on moving. Okay, Markham, they're still working out there too. We're working on buttoning up. We got the roof on the first layer of roof on the MP room, so even in the weather, they're continuing to work inside, so that's good to keep that up. The pads for the next set of classrooms was certified, so now Milas, the manufacturer, the building manufacturer, they'll be out next week to start the foundations for those. So we're still on track. Everything is on schedule for those at this point. So so that's where we are as far as as the projects. That's the only thing that we're working on right now. Nobody else is working as far as custodians and maintenance. We only have limited custodial just showing up to the kitchens that are cooking for 2 hours a day. That's all we've got right now until we make another plan.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Thanks for the update. Okay, to action items, number 17A. It is requested that the board approve resolution number 2019-2020, authorizing the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds, election of 2014 Series D in an aggregate principal not to exceed $71 million, and approving the related documents and actions. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second? Motion by Wyndham, second by Silva. And now we can ask some questions. Something we talked about earlier with finances happening now, and do we know if the fees and the percentage points for all this stuff is going to go down in the next? I know it's a guess, but did Jennifer happen to say anything about that, or?
She did not. We can check with her. I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Just with issuing the bonds and everything, with the current financial state, do we foresee it being even better than we expected, or?
Well, we'll have to check with John Isom. What the driver of this was the very low interest rates, so if
That's my thought is if it's going any
we
lower,
haven't made the
can we
purchase
save
yet, so this would allow us to start that process. But the actual selling of the bonds would not happen until we say, and that would be predicated on maybe
Very good.
Mr. Isom. Hey, let's wait till tomorrow. I think the interest rates are going to go down a little bit more or something. I mean, I don't know how much more they can, but yeah, we would be watching for that market change.
Okay, Mr. Kitsis.
Yeah, everybody knows how volatile the markets have been recently, and actually the bond markets were at historic lows, and they've gone up a little bit since then. But I think that Mr. Isom has said that if things change between the time when we approve this and it has to be sold, that he'll take that into account. So this isn't saying that they'll definitely be sold, just if things continue in the direction that they are.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. Do you have anything?
Nope.
Good. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. It's a roll call vote.
Okay. Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva? Yes. Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. All right. Item 17B, it's requested that the board approve resolution number 22-2019-2020, authorizing the issuance and sale of 2020 general obligation refunding bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $75 million to refund outstanding general obligation bonds and approving all related documents and actions. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, motion by Kitsa, second by Malberg, and another roll call vote.
Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. 17C, adoption of resolution number, it's requested the board approve resolution number 2019-2020, requesting the treasurer to make a constitutional advance to the district. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
Motion by Wyndham, second by Kitsis, and a roll call vote.
Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. Item 17D, it's requested that the board approve resolution number 2019-2020, authorizing temporary interfund transfers. Do I have a motion? Motion by Stacy and second by Wyndham, and roll call vote.
Okay, Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
Mr. Jansen?
Yes. 17E, it's requested the board approve the consulting services agreement with ISOM Advisors, a division of Urban Futures, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $40,000. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Wyndham, second by Silva. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. 17F, it's requested the board approve the developer fee report for fiscal year 2018, 2019 as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Malberg, second by Wyndham. All in roll call vote.
Okay, Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
Mr. Jansen?
Yes. 17G, it's requested the board approve the revised classified substitute salary schedule as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Malberg, second by Wyndham, and roll call vote.
Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. 17H, it's requested the board approve the appointment of Angel Hickson as a member of the SELPA CAC for the term of April 1, 2020 through March 31st, 2022.
I'll second.
Motion by Wyndham, second by Stacy. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham?
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. Item 18, the consent items. There's a long list of consent items on the calendar here, and some of them include trips in the future. We will be approving them if it goes through, but in taking into account that we'll look out for our students and our staff and our parent volunteers. If it runs into a time frame where we shouldn't be out, we definitely will rescind that and pull that back. And I know staff will keep an eye on that for us. So with that, it's requested a board approve the consent calendar items as presented. Motion? Motion by Wyndham. Second by Silva.
Question, Mr. Jansen?
Yes, Mr.
Um,
Kitsis.
I know there's a huge number here right now, but for example, like 18D2 is the approval for Vacaville High School distance track team to travel to Azusa, California for a meet March 27th through 29th.
It's already been canceled.
Right, so I just want to make really clear
Yes.
that we're not pulling each individual thing out, but we will look at each thing, and if it's outside of the realm of the shelter orders that we have, that those things will be canceled.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote. Mrs. Dally?
Yes.
Mr. Wyndham? Wake up.
Yes.
Mr. Kitsis?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy?
Yes.
Mrs. Malberg?
Yes.
And Mr. Jansen?
Yes. All right, future business. We have a special governing workshop, which we'll probably discuss if we're still going to continue with that, March 26th of 2020 at 5:30 at night. And we'll talk about that a little later. And 2 regularly governing board meetings, one on April 9th, 2020, and one on April 30th, 2020. We don't have to go back to closed session. And so anything else? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for being here.